So we talked about this a little bit earlier, and I want you to think about your life. And I want you to think about it in the context of the struggles that you're having now as an entrepreneur, because somewhere along the way of your life, somebody planted the seeds that said, you can't do this, or you aren't good enough, or you aren't smart enough, or you don't have what it takes. And it might have been you as a tiny second grader. It might have been you trying out for the softball team. It might have been you trying to carry all the groceries from the car and your parent was like, you can't do this. You aren't strong enough and smart enough to figure out how to get all those bags in one trip, right? So somewhere along the line, someone planted a seed, and instead of ripping it out and throwing it away, you're like, oh, they know me. They're saying something about me that must be true. So I will take that seed and I will protect it, and I will water it, and I will keep it alive. And here you are 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, and all of a sudden you believe something about yourself which really isn't true, but you think about it so deeply and it has become such a part of you that you actually think it is you, right? And that is what we call limiting beliefs. So if you have in your heart that you were designed to do something amazing, that you are just not living up to your potential, but you have great things inside, but you just can't get there for whatever reason because you just aren't something enough, that is absolutely an example of your limiting belief. And a limiting belief is really just that. It is a way in which your mind tells you you can't do that because of this, right? Because of this thing that happened yesterday, last year, last decade, last 50 years ago, you can't do this. And it was true then and it's true now. So it is almost like you are setting yourself up to fail without even trying, because somewhere inside your body is saying, your mind is saying, don't bother trying. You aren't going to be successful. So even though you really have it in you to be great and amazing, something else inside of you is like, nope, 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 nope. So what are some examples of limiting beliefs? Here on this slide, I have a couple of them, and really there are limitless limiting beliefs. There is no limit to how many there could be. So yours might be on this list, or yours might be totally different. You might say, someone else has already thought of this and they do it better, right? Someone else is already a life coach, a health coach, a tarot card reader, a roofer, a daycare operator, a shoe manufacturer, right? They already do it. It's already being done, and they do it better than me. That's a limiting belief. I don't have the right education. I don't have the right background. I don't have the right credentials. I don't have the right outfit. I don't have the right, personal image. I don't have the right clothes. I don't have the right accent. I don't have the right whatever, right? When you start saying that, it is you telling you, I am afraid to step out because I might be rejected. So I'm going to say that I don't have what it takes and shut myself down before other people can reject me, right? It's a protection mechanism. And so when you say, I'm not educated enough, I'm not gonna go for that promotion, you are really saying, I'm afraid of putting myself out there and being rejected. And so I'm not gonna do it at all. I'm just gonna sit here and wish it were different, but not really work for it to be different, right? That's a limiting belief. If you are called up to a conference to speak, if you are asked to be on a podcast, if you are asked to be interviewed for a magazine, and you think, oh, I'm not an expert. Like, what do they want with me? I am not an expert. That's a limiting belief, right? You might not be the expert of all things. You might not be the most expert of all experts in that one thing, but you are an expert in the thing, and that's why they're asking for your support. That's why they're asking for your perspective, right? People don't only want to hear from the very best of the very best of the very best. They want to hear from people like them. So if you are, a personal trainer and you have struggled with, feeling strong and feeling, that you weren't strong enough to lift weights, or you weren't, you didn't have endurance to do, all of the classes and do all of those things, but you found a way to get through it, somebody like you wants to hear from someone like you. They don't want to hear from an Ironman trainer, because they will look at that person and say, yeah, that's not me. That is not me now. That was never me. That will never be me. I am closed to that person. But when you bring out your personal story and say, look, I struggle with weight, or I struggle with sugar addiction, or I struggle with wanting to sit on the sofa for 5 weeks straight. Trust me, I know how it feels. Someone else can be like, oh my gosh, they get me. They get me. I want to believe in their journey. I want to believe that they can help me because they know where I am. Right? So even you saying, I'm not an expert, you're trying to disqualify yourself so that other people don't cut you down and say, why would we be listening to you? You don't have your doctorate in nutrition, or you don't have your, certificate in this, that, and the other thing. And you can say, you're right, but I went through this journey and now I can teach other people where I am. At some point, I can't go any further than where I have been, but I can get people to where I am now. And that's pretty amazing. Right? So when you say you're not an expert, it really is you telling yourself that you're afraid. Another limiting belief is, I don't deserve it. So something amazing happens, a client falls from the sky, or you make a connection at a networking event and it turns out to be this massively amazing opportunity, and you say, oh my gosh, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this. It really should go to somebody else. Why do you think that? Right? Why do you think you're not good enough to receive this gift of the opportunity? We just need to leave that there. You are good enough. You are deserving of this. And the fact that you think you're not deserving is where a little bit of your attention needs to go. Who told you at one point that you didn't deserve good things? Who told you that you didn't deserve lucky things? Maybe it's not luck. Maybe you got yourself dressed, you got yourself out of your house, you went to the networking event, you spoke to many people, you shared about your business, you invited people to connect with you on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever, in real life, meeting for coffee. You put yourself out there. It's not luck at all. It's you generating an opportunity. Right? But the fact that you say, I don't deserve this, I'm not that lucky, means that you think something is out of your control. But you did all the steps to make this happen. So that's something that you need to think about is, why don't you deserve it? Another limiting belief is, I failed before. I love this one. When clients come to me and they say, I'll make many decisions, but I'm not going to make any decisions where I'm going to fail. Like, I'm only going to do things I know I'm going to knock out of the park. I mean, really? Really? Failing then was taught to you as something bad and something to avoid. And it was a value judgment on you. If you fail, you're obviously not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not capable enough. And that's so not true. If you fail, that means you're trying something. You are testing untested waters. You are stretching and you are growing and you are trying to do something different, right? Failing is evidence of trying. Failing is not evidence of worthiness. And so if you say, I've failed before, you are exactly the kind of person I want to work with. Right? Because you know what it feels like to try something, to not have it work out the way you want, and then you need to deconstruct what happened. And you're like, okay, what did work? At what point did it not go the way I wanted it to? Oh, maybe I didn't realize I needed to do this whole other thing. Okay, now I have new information. I will do new things, right? Failure is absolutely part of the evolution of you as a person and as an entrepreneur. Absolutely. And there are many, entrepreneurs right now coming out and saying, if you are not failing, you are not trying hard enough. If you are not failing and going up in flames, you are not pushing hard enough. Because they're starting to recognize that people are taking very small calculated risks and not doing the big things. But we need you to do the big things. If you have something big inside, we need you to do it, right? And that means taking risk. And that means sometimes it is not going to work out. You might have a launch and nobody buys. You might write a book and it has errors in it, right? Glaring errors, right? You might do those things. And you fix it, you pick it up, you carry on, right? That's what you do. That's what failing does, is it allows us to recoup, evaluate, make new processes for next time, tweak how we do things, and try again, right? So if you have limiting beliefs, I want you to spend a few minutes on what does that look like for you? What are the things that you say to shut yourself down? What are the things that you say to make sure you don't stretch and you don't grow and you don't try? I'm sure you can think of many. I could think of many for myself. And we start working on them and we start saying, where did that come from? And if it came from, little Aunt Polly who said once upon a time that the toast that you made her was burnt, so you can't cook. And now you're like, really, I can't cook. I'm 52 years old, I still can't cook. Aunt Polly did not know what she was talking about. And when you are 4 and when you are 54 is 1,000 lifetimes. But that seed planted and said, I'm not a good cook. Something you still believe today, right? If you think of all of the things that stop you from doing things, it might have been a very, very slight little jab at another point about another thing. And somehow you've nurtured this criticism to be very global and very big about your whole life and your whole ability and your whole awesomeness. And nobody really has that kind of power, right? Little Aunt Polly should not have the kind of power to tell you if you can cook or not, right? And that's why there are movies about people kind of overcoming those odds, right? Nobody believed in the little engine that could, and he kept going, and then all of a sudden he made it. Almost every movie has that hero's journey, right? Because we all have that seed planted in us that we can't. And then some of us say, am I sure about that? So today, this is your, are you sure about that? You don't have the right education. Are you sure you need that? You don't have the right clothes. Are you sure about that? You don't have this. You can't do it. Other people have done it before. Talk to Adidas, talk to Puma, talk to Fila. They would all not be in business if Nike was the only shoe company, right? So really, let's talk about your limiting beliefs. Journal a little bit about what some of your limiting beliefs are, where they came from, and what do you need to say to reframe them, right? Because winter is real. When you think you're not good enough, winter will hold you captive for a very long time. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So let's start working at understanding your limiting beliefs. I'll see you in the next module.